What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Injection of Inspiration, where every single Saturday I, Graham G.S. Matthews, give you your daily dose of motivational advice, helpful tips, and all that other great shit. Hope you guys are doing well. Today's topic is something I know for a fact I've talked about multiple times here on the show over the past 30-plus episodes since November, in various forms or fashions, but I thought I would make one specific video about it and share a video, or rather share a story along with it for today's video. That being that life isn't always going to be perfect. I feel like, and I'm as big of a movie fan as anyone else. I might not have the greatest taste in movies. You can ask Jason. He can attest to that. But I love movies. I love books. I love storytelling. I love a movie that I can walk away from with a smile on my face that ends in a very happy manner. It might not be the most realistic ending of all time, but that's what the movies are for. They're the ultimate escape from reality. That's what wrestling is for. They're supposed to, more often than not, wrestling is supposed to be there to make you feel a certain way that you can't feel in your everyday life. That's what comic books are for. That's what this is for. That's what that is for. That's really the pure purpose of entertainment at its very core, is to make you feel a way or to help you escape, really, the everyday feelings of reality or escape your issues. Not run away from problems, but rather escape them merely for a short period of time. But I feel like those that either watch too much television or get wrapped up in too much television or all this other fantasy nonsense. Again, I say nonsense. It's not really nonsense. I don't mean it like that. But people get this inaccurate depiction, I guess might be the right word, of what life is and what life is all about, thinking that I need to find my soulmate the same way that my favorite character did on my favorite television show. It's not going to happen that way. Those shows are scripted in a way that makes it seem perfect, because it's not realistic. Otherwise, you could just see this shit on the everyday fucking news. Just watch the news, talk to your friends, talk to your family, and sometimes fact is stranger than fiction, which is why I love writing about what I've experienced and what I've seen and would like to experience, because sometimes you can never predict what the future holds, and that's what I love about life personally. I don't know about you, but waking up every day knowing that every single fucking day on the calendar holds a different adventure. You might get a decent idea of what tomorrow holds, whether it be, I know I'm going to do this today, I know I'm going to be hanging out with that person today, but anything can happen, and sure, that something could be bad, but you can't live in fear. Now, I know that's another topic, and I've talked about that before. But what I want to talk about today is how life is not going to be perfect. And this is not meant to be a negative video, but rather realistic in embracing you, or really, what's the right word that I'm looking for here? Really just enforcing the fact that you can't have high or unrealistic expectations for what you're going to experience in your life. Because what you experience in your life, trust me, is going to be way more exciting, way more satisfying, and way more fucking fulfilling than anything you will see ever in a movie, in a book, anywhere. Here's a prime example. So we're going back a long time here. A long fucking time. And even before I get started with this story, I will say this. There's going to be times, especially like with romance, which is what this has to do with, but really in other things too, where it makes complete sense. You really want everything to make sense. And I know I've mentioned this probably before too. One thing I don't like is when things don't make sense. Like, this doesn't make sense. Why isn't it happening the way that I want it to, or the way that I think it will? You're not always going to get what you want. You're just going to get what you need. Classic Stone song reference. It's awesome. I love it. I heard it in the house about a year ago. I'm sure I've heard the song before, but that's when it really clicked for me. I know, like, Carmella recently said that on WWE SmackDown with a weird twist, but that's the general basis. You're not always going to get what you want, but you're always going to get what you need. Probably not the fashion that you expected to, and the way that you least expected to is the way that you're going to get it, and that's the best way to get it. Again, I'm sorry for confusing you, but anyway, some things are going to make complete sense, like, oh my god, that just, it would have worked out perfectly. There have been, I could not tell you how many times that has happened in my life, where it's like, that's like a storybook ending right there. Why didn't it fucking happen like that at that point in time? Well, trust me, everything makes sense in time. It's not going to make sense today. It's not going to make sense tomorrow, but it might make sense a year from now, 5 years down the road. It might not even make sense until the very last day that you're on this earth. But eventually, it'll all make sense. And everything, as they always say, happens for a reason. So again, here's a prime example. Here's a story of mine from many, many, many years ago. I'm only 22 years old, so I'm speaking as if I'm, 50 or 40 or 30 even, but no, I'm only 22 years old. But this does go back a while, maybe well over 10 years. So in elementary school, I had this huge crush for about 3 years. I hate using the word crush, but that's like the everyday vocabulary for an elementary school student. But in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, I had this big crush on this girl named Gabrielle, and she was really, really nice. I liked her a lot. She lived only right down the road from me, and everything seemed to be going so well. And I'm not saying like we were dating or anything. This is only fucking 5th grade, people, so you can only imagine how you can tell when someone has a crush on you or whatever. So things are definitely different in elementary school compared to today. So anyway, things are going for a while. Again, all the signs, like this girl definitely likes me. She definitely knows I like her after all these events are happening, all this other shit. So everything's going super well. And at one point, I almost knew for a fact that she liked me back as much as I liked her. So I'm thinking everything's, going to work out exactly the way that I wanted to. And as a 5th grader, I'm not exactly sure what I was expecting. Like, oh my God, we're going to get married someday and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not really sure where I thought it was going or where it would end up, even if she did. I never really knew for a fact whether she liked me or not, or whether she knew that I liked her and whether she liked me back. I never really found that out for a fact. So anyway, going into 5th grade and then going into middle school beyond that, you're not really certain where things are going to go, because in my middle school anyway, in Connecticut, the way that my school system works is that in elementary school, you have all the kids from your surrounding area, and there were 3 other elementary schools, so they all, converge for one middle school experience, I guess. And with so many other people and people being separated by classes and teams and all this other shit, I never thought I would see her again or talk to her as much or never get this big of an opportunity, blah, blah, blah. So it eventually faded away. And we went into different classes, didn't really talk to her all that much, really at all in 6th grade, going into middle school. And the, admiration for her, the passion, love, whatever it is. Well, I'm not even going to say love because the crush went away, because love is a weird term to use for a 5th, 6th grader. So it went away, and that was it. It was over with for the time being. Never really thought too much of it. Again, it was going so perfectly for such a long time, I really did think that it would end up somewhere. She would find out, and then we would become something down the road. Middle school sweethearts, maybe? I have no idea. So years and years and years go by. I didn't really talk to her all that much in the rest of my high school years from that point up until I left high school, or middle school rather. Did I say high school? I meant middle school. 2-3 years later, we weren't really didn't really share the same classes, and that was really about it. Again, my crush kind of faded away after a while, because when you don't really see someone and you're not really interacting with that person, then it kind of fades away after a while, I guess. So that being said, then I moved, going into high school. I moved after middle school, my freshman year of high school, I moved into a different town. So I didn't see this girl at all, didn't know about her, didn't hear about her. I think we might have been Facebook friends. We might still be. I have no idea. So that, whatever. So then I go to college, and this is 8 years removed from the fact that I had this big crush on her in 5th grade. I literally see her at the orientation for my college. I think at the point where I already knew I was going there, I already accepted to go there, I already put my down payment deposit, whatever. So that's not like I was touring the school and I saw her. I actually saw people from my high school at the tour of the school, and I'm thinking, please do not go here. Please do not go here. I do not want anyone. My one prayer to God throughout my senior year of high school was, please do not let anybody from my godforsaken high school go to the one college that I go to. And I went to a college in a completely different state. I live in Connecticut. I went to a college in Massachusetts. So that kind of lessened the chances of people going to the same school that I did. And I saw people from my school there, and I'm like, please do not let anyone, not a single person, not even someone I liked, going to the same college that I'm going to. Thankfully, that was not the case. The one caveat was that God tricked me, and he had someone from my middle school / elementary school go to the same college that I did, and that was this girl, Gabrielle. And so again, I saw her at the orientation and like literally my first few days of college, because all the freshmen are on the campus at the same time, well before everyone else, for all the orientation shit and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking, that, like, what are the fucking odds? Like, of everybody, like, not anyone else from her town, the town I used to live in, or my high school went to this school. The only one person that came to the same school that I know, that I previously knew of before I came to college, that came to the same school that I did, was this girl, Gabrielle, that I had such a huge crush on for so many years. Like, what are the odds? That to me was like a sign, like, I need to talk to this girl. I need to, like, see what's going on or whatever. And I never really got my chance. She might have been a nursing major. I have no idea. She definitely was not in the same field that I was in. So I had 0 classes with her, I'm pretty sure. In my 4 years of college, I never had a single class with her. And I didn't really interact with her at all. I never really ran into her. I would see her every once in a while at, like, lunch and shit. But there's so many kids in college, so many kids in the campus, that, you know, it's kind of hard to cross paths with the same people every single day unless you're in the same classes and whatnot. So I never talked to her once. I'm figuring, you know what? I got 3-4 years. I could talk to her at literally any other point. So about a year goes by, and we get to around November of my sophomore year. So we're going back around 3 years, 2.5 years at this point, November of 2014. And I went to go out to get something to eat with my buddy, my roommate, like super early in the morning. I think it might have been the paranormal hour, that I like to call it when daylight savings time happens. It's a really weird thing, but like when daylight savings times happens and like the hour, it goes from 1 to 1:59 and then back to 1. And I always like to joke around that the first time that 1 to 1:59 happens never happened because the clock gets reset. It's a really weird thing, I know. But in that hour that I went to go get food, pretending it wouldn't happen, whatever, jokingly, obviously, I see that girl, Gabrielle, at the same place I was going to get food at. And I'm like, this is my fucking chance. Like, I'm not going to fuck it up. I might never get this chance again. And, like, old me from, like, years earlier that would have cared what other people thought of me or what other people thought of my actions or whatever, I probably wouldn't have done it. I probably would have gotten too nervous and just said, fuck it, whatever. Like, I'm not going to do it. But in this case, I said, fuck it, whatever. I'm going to do it. I don't really give a shit. At least I know if it doesn't work out or if she doesn't remember me, whatever. It's been so long. It's been like 8-9 years. So it's like, whatever. So I'm thinking, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go for it. And it's the paranormal hour. Why wouldn't I go for it? So I did. And I went up to her. I'm like, hey, is your name Gabrielle? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, yeah. And she recognized me. She remembered me immediately right away. And I don't remember the exact context, the exact conversation and what we talked about. But essentially, I had said I had seen her on campus. I thought I recognized her. She said the same exact thing. Whether she was bullshitting me or not, I have no idea. But it doesn't really matter. I grew a set. I talked to her. And I was like, you know, maybe at some point we can, you know, go out to eat or whatever. Fucking whatever. And nothing ever really came of it down the road. And that was pretty much it. So we were talking and blah, blah, blah. And that was essentially it. I was just saying we should go out to, you know, hopefully we can hook up at some other point or go, you know, hang out or get something to eat at some other point. She's like, yeah, sure. That'd be cool. Seemed genuine. Again, if it wasn't, whatever. But that was it. I was really happy that I was able to go up and talk to this person that I hadn't seen in maybe 8-9 years. Just getting it over with, knowing, you know what, fuck it, who cares? Like, whatever. Like, who could possibly give a shit? Because if it didn't work out, at least I would know, and it wouldn't bother me for the next 3 years of my college experience that I never talked to this chick and never once reconnected with her. So I attempted to, like, about a week or two later, try to reach out and ask her to, like, and again, this is probably my biggest problem, was that I did it over online, because I never saw the chick in person. That was kind of the problem I ran into. So I Facebook messaged her or whatever, asking her if she wanted to go out and get something to eat at that point, because my friend wasn't around. He wasn't around to go get something to eat with me, so I asked her. Never heard a response, and I never talked to her again after that. Not that she tried to talk to me, but we never interacted at any other point in the rest of my 3 years of college. But again, what purpose does this story serve? Like, why am I telling this story? The reason I'm talking about this one story is because at one point 10 years ago, and maybe even when I first came to college and I saw that same person again, I'm thinking, this would have been so fucking perfect. Like, it didn't work out the first time when we went to the same school 10 months ago, or 10 years ago rather, because we went our different paths and, you know, led our different lives and all this other shit. But now it makes sense. Like, it all leads to this one point where it's like the cutest, you know, romantic novel of all time, where we eventually, you know, go off on our different paths, and then I find her in college. We go to the same exact school. Like, what are the fucking odds of that? We reconnect. We find out we used to like each other back in the day. We still like each other now over a decade later, and then happily ever after. But no, it doesn't work out like that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Life is not perfect. It just doesn't work out like that. And then other stuff would happen throughout college, like romance-wise and whatnot. And then I eventually found my current girlfriend about a year ago, and it's been great ever since, and it's been about a year next month. So that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Life is not going to be perfect. Don't think it's going to be. Do not think it's going to have a storybook ending. It's going to go this way because that's the way that you envisioned it in your head. Like I've talked to people, I had a roommate in college who would always plan shit out, thinking, you know what, before I talk to this girl, before I ask this girl out, before I try to talk to this person that I've had a beef with and try to smooth things over, I'm going to literally write down a script that I'm going to say to her. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's got to come organically. If it doesn't come from the heart, that's not genuine, and even what you're saying is genuine, but you're like scripting it out in your head, you can't, prepare for that kind of thing. You might prepare for an apocalypse or a fucking, famine or whatever, but you can't, you can't prepare for every imaginable outcome in situations like that. Life just does not work out that way. Your future has not been written yet, so make it a good one. Famous words by Doc Brown, Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future Part 3, one of my favorite fucking quotes of all time, if not my favorite quote of all time, because life ain't going to be perfect. You are writing your future as we speak, as I speak right now. You are writing your future. It's not set in stone. It's not like if you go to the future, people are always wondering, oh, what am I going to be 5-10 years from now? You're deciding that right now. It's not decided for you 5-10 years from now. You're writing that right now. You can be whatever you want to be in 5 to 10 years because you're writing your future at this very moment. So keep that in mind. Life ain't going to be perfect. But going back to that great quote, that great lyric from the Stones that I mentioned earlier, you're not always going to get what you want. You're always going to get what you fucking need. I mean, maybe not the fucking was in there. I threw that in there myself, but you know what I'm trying to say. You're always going to get what you need. In the end, everything's going to make sense. Don't get, too stressed out about the fact, like, oh my God, it should have worked out. Like, why didn't it work out? I really wanted that dream job, but I didn't get it because of this or that. I just don't get it. And then you're just overanalyzing it. It's like, dude, it didn't work out. Get the fuck over it. I understand wanting to be upset and whatnot, which is normal, but don't overreact. You're going to get more opportunities. You're going to get more chances. And the more and the harder you work at it now, the better it's going to mean down the road. If you get exactly what you want at this very moment, the first time you go for it, it's not going to mean anything. People that get everything they want early on in life, they have nothing to strive for down the road. Like, what else is there to do if you've accomplished everything there is to do and everything you've set out to do in the first year that you made up these goals? What the fuck is there to strive for in the rest of life? You're going to be content? Being content is the worst possible place you can be in a lifetime. You don't want to be content. You want to be hungry. You don't want to be mad either, but you want to keep striving. Sometimes having a chip on your shoulder is the best possible thing, because you're going to want to keep striving for more and setting even more goals for yourself. If you accomplished every other one that you've had over the past year, every goal that you set for yourself, then you make new ones. You challenge yourself. You got to put yourself to the test. And only you know your own potential. And you won't know that unless you try, unless you see what you're capable of. And only you know what you're capable of. But you got to put yourself to the test. You got to challenge yourself to be better every single fucking day you're on this earth. But again, the reason I'm saying all this is because it's not going to work out the way that you want it to. At least not initially. But it's all going to work out in the end. You just got to keep that in mind. I encounter so many fucking people who get so upset and are still bitter about things not working out years ago. It's like, dude, it all happened for a reason. If you don't believe that, that's up to you, but that's my mindset. Because what you do today will affect tomorrow. Maybe not only your tomorrow, but the tomorrows of many other people. That's fucking powerful, dude. That is super fucking powerful. So keep that in mind. Remember, life ain't perfect when it comes to romance, business, pleasure, whatever, personal life, work life, family life, whatever. For as bad as some things seem now, you got to go through those dark days for the better days to mean something, for them to be that much more meaningful and enjoyable. You'll be like, wow, I went through so much shit to get to this point, and every single second of it was worth it. That to me, and I've talked about it a million fucking times, especially with people when it comes to finding the one. Like, I didn't find them right away, or I thought that person for sure would be the one, but they weren't. And it's okay. That's fine. That's life. Life ain't perfect. Life is going to be exactly what you need it to be. And sometimes, again, you're always going to get what you want, not always what you need. Or rather, no, exactly the other way around. I fucked that up, goddammit. But you know what I'm trying to say. You're always going to get what you need. You might not always necessarily get what you want, but you might get what you want down the road if you keep on working at it, and it's going to be that much more because you did not get it the first time. And you can say, you know what? I worked my ass off. Getting everything handed to you, or even earning it initially, it doesn't feel as sweet. How sweet is that victory when you didn't really do much to earn it, or you didn't really work towards it? What does it really even mean? So again, put those, thoughts and words and whatnot under consideration as you go forward in your life. I'm only here to give my 2 cents on here on Injection of Inspiration. If you don't heed my advice, that's completely okay. Follow your own advice. Sometimes I say don't give advice, or don't listen to advice. Make your own advice, because everything you need to know is within you. Wisdom is a very subjective thing. I feel that all of us are wise and whatnot. You really just have to go through certain experiences to realize certain things. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm only one 22-year-old kid. What the hell do I know? Go out, live life, love it, learn, live, all that great shit. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, share the video. All that stuff is, I can't stress this enough, amazingly appreciated. Have an awesome rest of your weekend. Again, we'll be back next Saturday with another all-new installment of Injection of Inspiration. Until then, guys, I'll catch your ass down the road.